All right, Chapter 47, Conservation of Biodiversity. In this chapter, we're only going to be covering two sections, Conservation of Biology and Biodiversity, and the value of biodiversity. So the conservation of biology is a relatively new discipline of biology that studies all aspects of biodiversity with the goal of conserving natural resources for this generation and all future generations. It's unique in that it's concerned with both the development of scientific concepts, but also the application of these to the everyday world. The primary goal is going to be the management of biodiversity. For the conservation biology to be effective, scientists have to look at the larger connections within the biosphere. So we're going to be looking for things like causes of present-day extinction, how to prevent future extinctions from occurring, and the consequences of decreased biodiversity. A high level of biodiversity is desirable. That is what we are going for. This is because it positively influences the stability of ecosystems, and the reverse tends to be true. If biodiversity decreases, then ecosystem stability decreases, resulting in negative consequences for the human population. Bioinformatics is going to be utilized to protect biodiversity. This is just the collecting of, analyzing, and making readily available biological information using modern computer technology. Like I said, the primary goal of conservation biology is the management of biodiversity, which is just simply the variety of life on Earth. So biodiversity can be classified a couple of different ways. At its simplest level, it just refers to the variety of species on Earth. It's been estimated that there are between 10 and 50 million species that currently exist. However, there are endangered species. Endangered species are ones that are in peril of immediate extinction throughout all or most of its range. A great example of these would be like the giant panda or the hawksbill turtle. There are also threatened species. These are organisms that are likely to become endangered in the near future. So the Navajo sedge, the northern spotted owl, the coho salmon, these are all threatened species. There are three levels of biological organization that we are going to be studying biodiversity across. Genetic diversity, which is going to be variations among members of the population. Community diversity, which would be interactions of species within a community. And landscape diversity. This is going to be diversity between the interacting ecosystems. I'm going to talk a little bit about the distribution of biodiversity. Biodiversity is not evenly distributed throughout the biosphere. We're going to see that it is highest in the tropics, and then it tends to decline as we move towards the poles. If we are only able to protect small areas, we should focus our efforts on regions of the greatest biodiversity. This is why you're going to see a whole lot of people all up in arms and save the rainforest and protect the rainforest, and there's not a whole lot of people who are like, save the Arctic tundra, save our deserts. And this is because the areas of biodiversity, if our primary goal is the management of biodiversity, then we should go to the areas where that biodiversity is greatest. So these regions of the world are going to be known as biodiversity hotspots. They contain the largest concentration of species, things like the coral reefs off the Indonesian archipelago, or the rainforests. Biodiversity is found in the hotspots, accounts for 44% of all known higher plant species and 35% of all terrestrial vertebrate species, and it only covers 1.4% of the land. So if our goal is to conserve biodiversity, then really we only have to conserve or save a relatively small portion of land in order to protect a large portion of species. So a great example of these would be like Madagascar, the Cape region of South Africa, Indonesia, the coast of California, the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. All of these are considered biodiversity hotspots.